We're live. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in. Everyone that's here, I greatly appreciate it. Anybody watches the replay, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Man, the Lakers they look awful. I mean, what else do you say at this point, right? They're not a good basketball team. I understand we're missing a couple guys, but none of our guys really showed up outside of D'Lo. Knecht still having his struggles. Can't really knock him. He's a rookie. He's gonna have his ups and downs. He's gonna have his good games. He's gonna have his bad games. That's fine. But LeBron, another miserable game. I mean, he had more turnovers than assists. He had almost as many turnovers as he had rebounds. He had more turnovers than he had made field goals. That's crazy. 10 points was minus 28. Anthony Davis, I get that they were packing the paint and trying to, make Anthony Davis take jump shots, but 4 of 14, 0 of 2 from 3. I like the 11 rebounds. I like the 5 assists. Talked about that, but 12 points isn't going to cut it. You had 22 points combined from your 2 stars. You're not getting much from that. Dalton Knecht, 3 of 8, 0 of 5 from 3. He's got to find his shot. He's got to stop struggling so much. D'Angelo Russell, like I said, he's the only one that showed up. 8 of 12, 4 of 5 from 3. 5 assists, 3 rebounds. 1 steal, 3 turnovers, 20 points. Right? We had 20, how many turnovers? 20 turnovers again. 20 turnovers. You're not winning very many games. We had more turnovers than we had assists. We had 20 turnovers and 19 assists. Again, you're not winning very many games that way. Gabe Vincent, non-existent. Max Christie, rough game. Armel Traore, I like him for his defensive versatility. I really do. I like he was switching out on guards. He was defending Julius Randle, moving his feet well. He's a guy that I think really has potential in the future, right? He's a solid guy. Rui had a solid game. I like that Rui's moving the ball more. I will give him credit for that. He's done a much better job of being the swing man. Finding the cutter, keeping his head on a swivel rather than just usually when he touches the ball, that's it. Usually he touches the ball and it's going up. But the fact that he's actually been moving and sharing the basketball, I think goes a long way. And then, yeah, like I said, outside of that, I mean, there's not really much to talk about, right? I mean, they're just not good. They're not playing good basketball. I mean, the games, it's nearly impossible to watch these games, right? You're sitting here watching, and it's just what's the point? Again, we can't beat good teams. I mean, look, Minnesota hasn't been a great team. We beat them opening night, but I mean, they just swarmed us. We had 80 points total. When our starters went out, when our main guys went out, and we waved the white flag, we had 66 points, something like that, with 6 minutes to go. Right? You're not winning very many games that way, if any. It's just, it's embarrassing at this point. Watching the Lakers regularly at this point, just getting blown out. Regularly at this point, just getting smacked. What do you say? What do you do? It's just all right. But anyway, let's get into the chat. Let's rally the troops here. Have a good stream. Answer all your super chats, all your regular chat questions. Real quick, again, if you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You people are beautiful. D, coming in hot, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sleepy Palinka said he believes we have enough. The Lakers' true identity is showing. LA look lifeless tonight. How much of that is just him, putting that out there just to help negotiate trades? I mean, all the reports have said that he's been very active. All the reports say that he's actively trying to find trades. Problem is just takes 2 to trade. That's where the problem lies, right? It's just you need another team that's willing to buy in on the trade market. And all the asking prices are insane, right? What are you going to give 2 firsts for Walker Kessler and then that's it? He doesn't I like Walker Kessler a ton. I think he makes a ton of sense. Honestly, I think you just pull the trigger on Zach LaVine. I know people are mixed on Zach LaVine. More and more people are coming to my side on Zach LaVine, but I think he just makes the most sense. You don't have to really give up anything. You're giving up players, giving up Gabe Vincent, who cares, right? The guy's giving you nothing. the two that like matter is like D'Lo and Rui Hachimura, right? But Zach LaVine is literally giving you the same production as both D'Lo and Rui Hachimura. Maybe not so much from what D'Lo's given us the last like handful of games. He's been good the last few games, but I just think you go get Zach LaVine and then you let the market settle, right? Because I think Zach LaVine raises the ceiling enough to where you're probably winning more games and you're not so reliant on LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Like, this is a great game for Zach LaVine, right? LeBron doesn't have it. He can play the playmaker role, right? If Zach LaVine starts torching, they can't defend Anthony Davis the way that they're currently defending Anthony Davis. Like, this is a game where you're just like, LaVine, we need you to go get us 30, right? We need 30 plus from you. And he's a guy that's capable of doing it, right? I think you just make that move and then you let everything else settle, right? Because problem is, Lakers are probably going to wait till the 15th minimum, right? Like, I mean, look, Lakers are staying afloat, but afloat isn't really good enough. It's just we need something done, right? Like, LeBron just doesn't look good by any stretch of the imagination. Anthony Davis, he's been struggling lately. We're reliant on a rookie and Dalton Knecht to be great every night, and he's going to have good games and bad games, right? And he's had 2 straight duds, right? Like, you expect that to happen. Austin Reeves is incredibly inconsistent. D'Angelo Russell has been really good lately, but he's on the trade block. He's likely gone. And, can he maintain this level of production? It's just like, what do you do at this point, honestly? But I appreciate you, D. Gribby Longstocking coming out with $10 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I think running the offense through AD might be a mistake. AD doesn't move the ball, and he forces a lot of shots like LeBron. I think D'Lo should start again so he can facilitate correctly. So I actually was going to make a video, not on this channel, but AIS The Lakers Show. I was actually going to make a video, and I wanted to like pause on it because D'Lo missed the last game, everything like that. About that very thing, I really do think that they should put D'Lo into the starting unit, right? And put Reeves off the bench. Because I just think Reeves gets to be the scorer. He's been more efficient off the bench for his career than he has starting. And on top of that, now D'Lo gets to be the primary playmaker. If you actually let him run the offense, which, you saw more of tonight, I think he'll kind of get in a rhythm. And look, third option D'Lo last year was better than third option Reeves this year. Just was, right? Like, so at least for now, obviously, look, I want to trade D'Lo. I want to trade guys. We need a solid trade. We need a solid acquisition. But until then, I think you got to do what's best. And I just think Austin Reeves is probably best for the bench. D'Lo in the starting unit gets to be that playmaker, gets to do the thing. You can still stagger him and LeBron. If you want to run the offense through Reeves, when he's in the game, fine. Best to do it off the bench when he's not going up against starters and stuff like that. He can attack lesser opponents. So, maybe he can kind of get into a better rhythm here. I just think that that's the better approach. I don't mind them playing the inside-out game with Anthony Davis. The issue is when guys aren't hitting shots, right? Like, when guys are hitting shots, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because, the teams can't pack Anthony Davis like the Wolves did today, right? Like, they just packed Anthony Davis and said, let everyone else shoot the ball, right? Like, forget trying to stop anybody. And it worked, right? They were able to pack the paint, made things difficult for LeBron, made things difficult for Anthony Davis. We had what? Sorry, I'm trying to find. Yeah, there we go. Like, they're just hounding, right? We made in total, we were 6 of 31 from 3, and D'Lo had 4 of those. So we only made 2 threes. It was Christie and Gabe Vincent are the only ones that made a 3 besides D'Angelo Russell. Right? Like, when that happens, again, teams aren't worried. Right? Let them shoot. Pack the paint. Don't worry about them. Worry about Anthony Davis and LeBron getting to the basket. And that's what Minnesota did, and it worked. I don't mind running through Anthony Davis when guys are hitting, right? When Dalton Knecht's hitting, D'Lo's hitting, Reeves is hitting threes. Right now, teams have to go to contest. Now the paint opens up, right? And now Anthony Davis can operate usually solo, or you've seen like he's done a better job recently of doing the kick out, right? Or finding the cutter. He's had a couple 5-assist games. He had that like 7-assist game. And I've talked about, like, I would rather see Anthony Davis be like, like a 25, 5 or 25, 14 and 5 guy, something like that, right? I'd rather just see that personally, but look, they need help, right? Like they need help. And that's the reality. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. But appreciate you, Crippy. Jason, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Coming out the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. First time, a long time. I mean, not really first time, but a long time. Who needs it more? Lakers need to make a trade, or Scream 7 needs to have Stu return. I will take the answer off the air. Well, first off, buddy, I appreciate the super chat. Secondly, the Stu thing's never going to happen, right? You can hold your breath. You're going to be very disappointed, my friend. As far as the Lakers make a trade, the Lakers desperately need a trade. Like, they just do, right? Like, they're not good enough. Like, that's the reality, Look, are they a good team? Yes. Are they a great team? No. Right? Like, they're good enough to, they'll probably be a playoff team as currently constructed, but they're probably second round exit at best, for being honest, for being realistic. Guys just aren't consistent enough. LeBron James doesn't look like LeBron James right now. He's struggling mightily. Anthony Davis has had some duds. It's just you look across the board and this team they just don't have it. Right. And I don't think it's an energy. I don't think it's an effort thing. I just think they're not good enough. Right. Like it's been a year and a half now of just like, oh, this team doesn't bring energy, or this team. I just don't think I just don't think they're good enough. Right. At what point is it like, okay, it's not an energy thing. We've gotten 2 different coaches. At what point do we just come to the realization that it's like, hey, he's just not that guy, right? Like, this team's just not that team, right? I just kind of feel like that. But anyway, Jason, appreciate you, buddy. Malcolm, coming out the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. The problem is LeBron committed to playing all 82 games this season and is running point at 40 years old on a back-to-back. Yeah. Look, if LeBron's got to take 2 weeks off, he's got to take 2 weeks off. The issue also is that you have to keep in mind is he wants the accolades, right? Like, he wants to be all NBA. He wants to be all those things. And he has to play at least 65 games. So, like, let's say he takes, 2 weeks off and he misses, 8 games, right? Well, now he only has, 8 more games that he can miss, or I guess 9 more games that he can miss. And it's like, if you need a break at any point, or if, let's say he gets like an injury, not like a serious injury, but just like, whatever, he sprains his ankle really bad. And it's like, he needs like 2 weeks to rest. Can't really take that off, right? Because of the new 65 game rule, LeBron and AD and these guys, which is good for AD because AD was like notorious for taking games off for like little knick-knack things, where now he has to play through it if he wants to, be an all-star and do all those things. Win Defensive Player of the Year or MVP or anything like that. But LeBron is the problem. LeBron coming off of the Olympics, right? Like, he talked about and said, he's adjusting to the new offense, but it's not just that, right? I think I could see part of it being that. I could see part of it. The issue is like, he's just trying to adjust. He's trying to, figure some stuff out here, playing within the schemes, but it's also just his decision-making has not been great this season. Careless turnovers. His just shot selection has not been great, right? Like, the dude hasn't made – he's like 0 of 25 from 3 the last, like, handful of games, and he just keeps chucking them, right? It's just like – and I get you want to shoot yourself out of the game or out of the funk, but it's just like pick and choose. Do it through the flow of the game, right? It feels like he's trying to force it at times, right? Like, if you D'Lo, drives and kicks and you're wide open, then take the shot, right? Like, I don't care if you're 0 of 50, right? Like, take the shot. If you're wide open, shoot it, right? Like, but it's just, I do think he needs time to rest. I do think he needs some in-between time, right? Like, I don't know if he's going to be able to get it because, like I said, with the new accolades and stuff, he wants to get those, right? So I don't know. It's frustrating. Whatever it is, it's incredibly frustrating, right, Malcolm? But I appreciate you. Seriously. Thank you so much. Appreciate the super chat. Andrew coming out, $2 super chat. Thank you so much. They have to get LaVine immediately. Yeah, look, I agree. I just think at this point, go get LaVine. You're not going to have to sell the farm to get LaVine, right? Go get LaVine, bring him in, and then now you can kind of be patient. Now you can kind of observe and be like, okay, like, how does Reeves fit? Does Reeves make sense? Does he not make sense? How does this fit? Right? Like, and you can kind of, make decisions accordingly. I just think right now you're like, you got to do something. Right. And it's just like, what else is out there that makes a ton of sense? The asking prices are insane for everybody else. Like Dorian Finney-Smith, even for a first, right? Walker Kessler, 2 firsts, right? Like, it's just like you go down the list and it's like Lakers can't overpay for guys just to overpay for guys, right? They're not like a player away, right? If we were like a Walker Kessler away from winning a championship, sure, go trade both first. Who cares? But we're not. We're not a Walker Kessler away from being a real contender. We're Walker Kessler plus like 2 or 3 other guys, right? And I just think at this point, go get Zach LaVine, right? Now you got him, and now you can kind of take some pressure off. Take your time on all the other moves, all the other acquisitions. I still think you'd need more than just Zach LaVine, but I do think he raises the ceiling enough to where you're just in better position. But appreciate you, Andrew. Malcolm coming out with the $5 super chat. Seriously, thank you. I thought LeBron was grandfathered in by the NBA for stat purposes. JJ Redick is not coaching Knecht 4 up stagnant in the corner. I believe he's grandfathered in for like sitting your stars. So like sitting, like if you wanted to sit LeBron James and Anthony Davis at the same time, I believe like they can. We're like a team like Phoenix, right? Name popping in my head, right? Like if they wanted to sit KD and Devin Booker, they couldn't do that, right? Unless there's like a serious injury, unless it's like something like obvious, right? They can't just like rest guys. Where I believe it's that rule. I still think he has to play 65 games for the accolades. Like I said, I may be wrong on that. Let's look it up in real time. LeBron exempt from 65 game rule. Let's see. Explain NBA rules. Let's see. Maybe if I type. Let's see if that worked better. Now it's just giving me the rules. Let's see if it says like a certain age or threshold, because I believe he's exempt from the rest rule. I don't know if he's exempt from the 65 game rule. Let's see. Yeah, like he has to at least. Yeah, I don't see anything. I have to like double check, and because I don't spend 20 minutes trying to figure it out. But I believe that that's the case. I think he's exempt from the rest rule, right? I don't think he can rest and it doesn't affect him, or the Lakers don't get fined or anything like that. Let me pull the chat up here. Maybe somebody else has already figured it out. Yeah, I don't see anything about that. So honestly, I do think that LeBron should get some rest, but I get for LeBron it's tricky, right? Because if he isn't exempt from that 65 game rule, because if he is exempt from the 65 game rule, then yeah, like take a month off, dude. Like no one, like the problem is we have to stay afloat too, which is why I kind of like the idea of Zach LaVine. It's kind of like, go get a Zach LaVine and then let LeBron rest for like a month, and I think you'd be afloat. But yeah, I appreciate you. And then you said JJ Redick is not catching Knecht 4 up, stagnant in the corner. Yeah, I would like. I've talked about this before. Even when Knecht was cooking, I was talking about how they need to do a better job of getting Knecht into the actions, right? Like so many times he's just kind of out there floating around. I'd like to see them do a better job of actually utilizing him and getting him better quality looks. Right now, he's in a slump, right? He's in a shooting slump. It's fine. It happens. Everyone gets in shooting slumps. But how do you kind of get him out of it? You get him better quality looks rather than like, bailout shots or, highly contested threes. I know he's been really good at hitting those, but you need to kind of get him into a rhythm. So I'd like to see the Lakers do a better job, and JJ Redick in particular, because he's the coach, do a better job of scheming to get him quality looks, get him open, right? Like we need him. We need him to get out of this funk, right? If anyone's going to shoot 9 threes and go 0 of 9, it should be Dalton Knecht, not LeBron James. Dalton Knecht, we know he only needs that one. Once he gets that one, I think he'll get back in the rhythm. He's just struggling right now. But again, appreciate you. Thank you so much, Malcolm. Andrew, come out, $2 super chat. They're unwatchable. They have to revamp the roster. I'm with you. I agree. It's not even fun to watch. I like, I'm not going to not watch Laker games. I'm definitely going to watch Laker games, but it's just like, it's crazy right now. It's like literally unwatchable. It's frustrating. But hopefully they get something done sooner rather than later. Hopefully. Waj, coming out the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Giving you a super chat to emphasize this heavily. They need LaVine to be our second option, not third, second, and like ASAP. But get big and another athletic. Yeah. First off, Waj, thank you so much for super chat. Seriously, I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, so much for the super chats. Yes, look, I mentioned earlier, I think you have to go get LaVine now. Right? We need that guy that can take the pressure off of LeBron, take the pressure off Anthony Davis, right? Maybe get LeBron's minutes down, right? Because right now he's playing like 35 minutes a game, right? So one of the ways to kind of rest him is if like, hey, can't take a game off because of the rules or whatever. Okay, well, let's at least get you down. Can we get you, the next 5 games? Can we get you to like 25 minutes? Right? Like, that's a way to do it. Like, hey, I know LeBron, you're not going to be happy about it. I know you're not going to be great about it. But we can't, like, sit you, because you got to follow the rules. But we could, maybe get your minutes down, in half, essentially. Right? Like, and handle some workload. Look, Zach LaVine, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Walker Kessler would be a home run. But even Zach LaVine, Dorian Finney-Smith, and, like, a Day'Ron Sharpe or something like that, I think you feed families, literally. I think you're in great shape at that point. Get a 3-and-D wing, get a legit guy in Zach LaVine that can, take the pressure, the scoring pressure off, and then also go get a big man that can help just alleviate Anthony Davis a little bit, slot alongside Anthony Davis. And you just do different looks, get different looks. That would be ideal, personally. But again, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, seriously, for the super chat. But and emphasizing that I'm right there with you, Mahmoud. I hope I said that correctly. Thank you so much for the super chat. I don't know if you meant to leave a comment or not. I don't see a comment there. I'll keep an eye out on the chat. If you had something specific you wanted to say, I'll answer it. So if you have a question or if you were just doing it to support, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But either way, yeah, I'll keep an eye on the chat. So if you had something you wanted to say, I'll squeeze it in. But yeah, I appreciate you. Like I said, just leave the comment if you want to comment. If it was just for support, then again, thank you. Stakes coming out, $2 super chat. The big is secondary. Athletic backcourt is a must. I agree. Look, I have talked heavily about how I believe the Lakers need to solve the perimeter first. I think the perimeter is the most important thing. That doesn't mean we don't need a backup big or anything like that, but I think we just need a serviceable player. I don't think we need anything crazy. I think we just need a serviceable backup, somebody that can fit in. Again, Valanciunas would be great, but if not, like Day'Ron Sharpe, something like that. We need to address the athleticism on the perimeter and the defense. That's very, very important. And I just think unless the Lakers can do that, I think we're going to be in trouble. I think we're going to be sitting ducks, right? Like we are right now. And it's just, it's frustrating. It really is. But yeah, I appreciate you, Stakes. I'm right there with you. I see you said, which again, thank you for super chat. I meant to ask, what do you think is realistic take to get LaVine and a decent big? So like the LaVine route, assuming, because we don't know for certain, But assuming the rumors are true that they just kind of want to get off of Zach LaVine, right? Like they are willing to get off of Zach LaVine. I think Gabe Vincent, D'Angelo Russell, and Rui Hachimura. That's been the heavily reported three to go get Zach LaVine. I think you get that. If you can do that, right, now you solve your athleticism, you solve your consistent third option on any night. He could be the 1 or 2 option. He dropped a 50 piece last year. Like people talk about like, oh, he only played 25 games. He still gave you a 50 piece last year. This guy on any night can be your entire offense, right? He can just go off, cook, one of the best off-ball players in the league. I just think he solves your athleticism, solves your rim pressure. He's good. He's not elite. He's not like locked down, but he is good defensively. Every year he is either at or above league average defensively, which means he's either good to really good, not like great or elite, but like really good, right? So I just think if you can go get him, especially without having to give up assets or anything, then fine. Right? Maybe you can even convince them to like throw in like a Torrey Craig or something like that. Supposedly they'd be willing to include Io. If they are willing to include Io, right? What is the ask? Is it like, okay, we'll include Io, but it's a first? If it's like, we get Zach LaVine and Io for a second, then fine, do that, right? Now you got your backup guard, give you some athleticism, give you some point attack. I mean, you could start Io and Zach LaVine, literally. You could start those two and immediately change a lot for the Lakers. The other part of it, which is the center part you were asking, like what it would take to get a decent big. I mean, it depends on what the Lakers are looking for, right? Because Day'Ron Sharpe, couple seconds, right? Maybe. And he's like $4 million. Like you could like swap like Jalen Hood-Schifino for Day'Ron Sharpe, right? Perfect world, Walker Kessler, but that's going to cost multiple first. Supposedly, Gabe Vincent in a second get you Valanciunas, which is fine. But to me, it just depends on like what other options are, right? Like you can realistically, while still filling out a roster and being 8 to 10 deep, go get Zach LaVine, Dorian Finney-Smith, and either a Walker Kessler or a Day'Ron Sharpe or a Nick Richards. But we don't even know if Nick Richards is actually available. So you basically do D'Lo, Rui, Gabe Vincent for LaVine, right? Then you do something like Jared Vanderbilt, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and then you could do like a Max Christie or like stack a guy or two, and then go get a Day'Ron Sharpe and Dorian Finney-Smith, and then you're off to the races, in my opinion. But hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. But again, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Everyone that gave me super chats, thank you so much. All right, let me get into the regular chat here until some more super chats trickle in, and then we will answer those. We didn't even try as it stands. I'm starting to worry that we might miss the playoffs as well. I still think that they're a playoff team, right? Because you're going to have enough bad teams. And then once you get past the trade deadline, you're going to get a lot of teams that are just going to tank and go for the bottom, especially with this draft. But I really worry. Because I don't want to see them be a play-in team again. We looked awful, 100%. That's why I titled it what I titled it. It's not over, but it's not great. It's not great. He hasn't been playing like a top 10 guy. I'll give you that. For right now, you're right. I will cool it on that because he's not, right? Like in the Olympics, he was. To start the season, he was. But the last 6-7 games, he has not been that 100%. As stands, we need Zach more than ever now. I agree. I am spot on. 80 points for the embarrassing. Looked like they didn't even want to play tonight. Ant-Man only had 8 points. Bronze Age looks it's catching up to him. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. It's completely inexcusable. Is real LeBron cooked? I hope not. I hope it's just a bad stretch. I really do. I hope it's just a bad stretch. But man, I agree. D'Lo should start over. Wrap it up, y'all. It's over. I don't think it's over. I think we still got a pretty good ways to go. But we need to get something done. Andrew, coming out $2 ship chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. LeBron and 80 have given up until the roster revamp. I don't think that. I mean, because LeBron's been bad for a while now. Anthony Davis had good games the other day, right? Like you look at Because I had somebody be like, "Oh man, this is like 5 straight games for AD." And it's not. I mean, he hasn't been great, like I said, but you look at kind of like he had like a 39-point game, like literally like 4 games ago. He had that 19, 14, and 7 game that they won. Where's even the Jazz game last night, right? Wasn't he like great in the Jazz game? What did he give you? He gave you 33, 11, 33 and 11 with a block and 2 steals. So I don't think like it's that. I don't think that's the case, or at least I hope not. But it's not looking great. Right? This team just does not look good. Whatever it is, whatever the problem is, they're not looking good at all. And they got to figure it out. They got to address it. They got to find a way to just be better. Because one significant losing streak before another win streak, and we could be in some trouble. Like seriously, like you gotta figure it out. But again, I appreciate you. I stopped watching. I don't blame you at all. We need to practice more. I don't know. I don't know how much practice, how much more practice you can do. JJ not giving DK the ball. I agree. They need to do a better job. I know he's struggling right now, but you got to how do you get him out of his struggles? Right? You put him in a position to where he can get better looks, better quality looks. He needs to be more in the action. He does. He needs to be more in the action. Yeah, D'Lo's been really good. Hopefully you can keep that up and maintain it. They played 3 games in 4 nights and is LeBron, I'm assuming you mean LeBron is 40 and the other has a bad foot, like chill. Well, it's all, what about the games before these 3? Like LeBron didn't just start this 2 games ago. LeBron struggled a lot this season. We're in dark times right now. I feel it. Dog barking. Trade got to be done. This roster is not one who's gonna. Yeah, you got to get something. You got to get some moves, some trades, something. We got to get some, like sooner rather than later, ideally. Problem is it takes 2 teams to trade. And that's where the dilemma lies. Lakers need to find somebody to get something done. Again, that's why I said go get Zach LaVine. Go get LaVine. Appetizer sushi. Appreciate you. Thanks so much. Braun and AD had the same stat line. Now what? JJ? It's what do you do? Like LeBron's just having his struggles. Anthony Davis. Thing is too, like, look, Anthony Davis was bad. Like, there's no excuse for just his poor play. But Minnesota did exactly what they were supposed to do. Pack him in, pack the paint, and make everyone else shoot and beat you. Right? They essentially played zone without playing zone. They just packed the paint and made Anthony Davis a jump shooter. And nobody was hitting shots. How do you correct that? Guys hit shots. If Knecht started hitting and LeBron started hitting a couple threes and then D'Lo's having the game he's having, all of a sudden, all of that opens up. All of that, now they can't pack Anthony Davis in. But when D'Lo has 4 of your 6 threes and you miss 30 of them or whatever it was, like, why if they start heating up, we make the adjustment, right? Like, make them beat you, right? Rather than the alternative. And it's frustrating. It is. It's just, they look terrible. Let's see. Not sure that there is enough trades to help this team. There is. Like I said, don't underestimate the value of a quality piece or 2. This is basketball, right? Like 1 or 2 guys can make a big difference, right? It has to be like hiring guys, like I've talked about. If you can get 2 like mid-tier to high-tier guys, you're great. Not like stars or all-stars or anything like that, but like 2 like high-tier guys, I think you're good, or like 3 like mid-tier guys, right? And I think the Lakers will be in good shape, right? You need to start knocking down the pecking order. That's why I've talked about Zach LaVine. Speed, I know you're not a big Zach LaVine guy, but what Zach LaVine does is it gives you that scoring option, takes pressure off of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, gives you the athleticism out on the perimeter, gives you the consistent scoring, gives you that rim pressure. He can play defense. Again, he's better defensively than a lot of people give him credit for. And on top of that, you still have the flexibility to make other moves and make other trades and do all that stuff. But he raises the ceiling so high, right? Like no one else that's available singularly, like one individual trade, raises the ceiling as high as Zach LaVine. You're talking about an excellent fit right out the gate. He'd know his role. He'd get to play his role. He changes so much for this team. Changes that like most for this team. I just like again, you can't underestimate the values of trades. If you're not going to get Zach LaVine, then you need to get like I said, you need to get like a Dorian Finney-Smith, Day'Ron Sharpe, and then probably like a Cam Johnson or a Jeremy Grant or something like that. Somebody else that can raise the ceiling, maybe not as high as Zach LaVine, but raises the ceiling, and then you get the two guys that really put you over, right? Like again, and then that's what I was saying is again, it drops everyone down for pecking order. If you have Zach LaVine, now Reeves isn't your third best guy. He's your fourth or fifth on any given night, right? So now the pressure on him isn't as high. Dalton Knecht, right? Like the games that Reeves is lights out or the games that Dalton Knecht is lights out, you're winning all of those games, right? Because Zach LaVine, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis are going to give you, 100 points collectively or 90 points collectively or whatever. And then now you just need, other guys trickle in. And then the games that like Knecht is having an off night or, if LeBron's having an off night or any of these guys are having an off night, you have that other guy that can just take over. Right? Like none of our guys can just take over for us. Even Reeves, even when Reeves is on, he's still limited. There's still only so much that Reeves can do. So that's a problem too. But we'll see. Time will tell. Genie, I mean, look, I blame Genie more than I've blamed Rob. Genie's been the problem. Again, how much can you micromanage? They sure miss AR. I mean, I don't think AR changes this game. The problem is like you need more than even if AR goes and gives you 20, you're still not winning this game, right? They were down by like as much as 30. It would have helped. Don't get me wrong, especially if he was cooking, but it's tough. I don't understand what you're trying to say. You're trying to say Reeves inconsistencies tonight, Tyler? What about Reeves? I don't know what the point is. Like, is that comparison deal? Again, Reeves, I don't think changes his game, right? Unless he has one of those games where he goes off for like 30, 35, maybe. But him by himself is not changed. Like, you need other guys to show up. DK is looking like a rookie. It happens, right? Like, this is to be expected. Like, I don't think anyone thought or should have thought that he was going to be great every single game. He's going to have bad stretch. I mean, even the great Steph has had like, 5-6 games where he just can't buy a bucket. It happens, right? Let's see. They don't want to play. They can't shoot dumb passes yet. The Lakers can't practice in the regular season. I believe that they do. JJ talks about their practices all the time and how they watch film and do all that stuff. Darvin Ham didn't do practices, but I believe JJ does. I live in Iraq. Woke up freaking 2 a.m. in the morning to watch this game. It's useless. I'm sorry. I really am. I'm sorry. No inconsistency, AR, huh? I mean, he didn't play this game. And he had, because he missed this game, it doesn't change that he was inconsistent. I don't understand what you're trying to get across here. It doesn't change that he's inconsistent, right? What game do you think he would have had today, right? You're hoping he had a big, 25 to 30 point game, but you don't know. And that's the problem. That's my point. You don't know, are you getting Austin Reeves that's giving you, 3 of 14, just like Anthony Davis or LeBron, or is he giving you, 8 for 9 from 3? It's just, again, it doesn't change Austin Reeves' lack of consistency, right? Even if he had a great game, let's say he did play tonight, let's say he did go give you a 30, right? It doesn't change his it doesn't absolve the rest of the games. It doesn't absolve last season. He has to put it together. How do you go from inconsistent to consistent? You put together multiple games, right? He could have dropped a 50 piece. That doesn't mean he's not inconsistent. It just means he had, there's been a lot of crazy guys that have dropped 50, right? it's guys that do it like regularly, like Zach LaVine. We've seen him do that multiple times, and he's consistent. Like even on a bad night, I checked in and peeked in. What was that game like now? I peeked in on Zach LaVine, and he was having a rough start to the game, and he still had like 15 points. I was just like, oh, like he was like, what did he finish with? Let's see. LaVine had, oh, he actually cleaned it up. He was shooting like 20% to start the game. He ended up finishing the game 7 of 13, 5 of 3, 53.8% from the floor, and 43% from 3-point range. He was like 0 of 5, I think, something like that when I checked. So he actually heated it up, and then he was a plus 25. But again, like even on a bad night, right? He's still giving you production. He's still giving you producing, right? Let's see. I said it before. We'd be the bottom of the league if Knecht didn't save us those games. It was bound to run out. I mean, I still think Knecht will bounce back. I think Knecht will figure it out, right? It's just stretches. It happens. You're getting good stretches, you're getting bad stretches. I think he'll figure it out. I think he'll get back into a good stretch, but we'll see. Oh, got another super chat. Andrew coming out, $2 super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. No defenses, respect Reeves or D'Lo. They fear LaVine. Yeah, LaVine can slice and dice. Like I've said this before about Knecht, and it ties into your point. Is that like we have literally heard coaches scream from the sidelines, "Move up, move up, move up" to Dalton Knecht. You never heard a coach scream to move up on Austin Reeves. You heard coaches on occasion for D'Lo when he was just like lights out, but very rare, right? Dalton Knecht is that guy. Zach LaVine is that guy too. Zach LaVine just unlocks so much offensively for this Lakers team, right? Him in this offense would be ridiculous. Because him as a slasher, him as a cutter, right? Him off ball, him on ball. You can just give him the ball and just be like, hey, dude, like LeBron could just pass him the ball and just be like, hey, I ain't got it tonight. Just I need you to give us 30. And he can just go give us 30, right? Like that's the difference. He unlocks and opens up so much for the Lakers. Our entire offense depends on a rookie shooting 50% on 14 attempts for 3. Yeah. And I mean, even like when he's not, I've talked about this before. If LeBron and AD don't give us 60 combined, we don't have a shot of winning. Like literally, go look at most of the games. There have been games where like, guys, everybody's hit, but 9 times out of 10, we win. It's LeBron James and Anthony Davis had like 60 combined, right? Like, and then everyone else trickling in, whatever they're trickling in, right? Like, if you get a guy like LaVine, it changes everything, changes a lot, and it raises the ceiling heavily. The savior. I mean, I don't think he's by himself the savior, but I think he gives you the best chance. I think he's the closest thing to a savior. I think you need more. I think if you can get Zach LaVine, Dorian Finney-Smith, and like a Day'Ron Sharpe or Walker Kessler, yes, I think Lakers are now a contender. No, you don't have to give up first for Zach. They just want to get off this contract. Let's see. I hope not. I hope that that's not the case. I hope that that's not the case at all. I don't think that they'll go that bad, but let's see. If LeBron just dropped the ego and let himself become a role player, then things would go more smoothly. I just think it's just the decision making is the big problem with him. His decision making has just been terrible. His decision making has just been awful. Right? He needs to just, and I get he's trying to play. He even said, like, I'm trying to play within the offense. I mean, that doesn't excuse like his poor shooting and stuff like that. A lot of it is just his decision making. A lot of him is just trying to force the pass or thread the needle, or he's always trying to do that like long look ahead pass. And 9 times out of 10, it just gets caught, right? Because he doesn't set himself and do it. He just like grabs the board and then just like tries to chuck it. He tries to Kevin Love the pass, but Kevin Love was good at that. Like LeBron is not great at that unless it's a clear mismatch, right? Anthony Davis on like a little to where Anthony Davis could just go grab it, right? But we see like he's used like, D'Lo tries to leak out. And it's D'Lo matched up with Dante DiVincenzo. Dante DiVincenzo is more athletic and the same size, right? Like if that's a 50-50 ball, guess who's winning that every time? Dante DiVincenzo. It's the recognition. It's understanding the situation you're in, right? It's situational awareness. Let's see. But he needs to get his 10-point streak, which is kind of how I feel he just kind of chucks stuff up. Why does LeBron keep chucking threes? He's trying to shoot himself out of the slump is what he's trying to do. But it's, again, like, if you want to take a couple, fine. I'm not saying for him to not take any threes, right? But it's, again, decision-making, right? It's understanding I haven't made a three in like 25 threes, right? That's not the case, right? Like, take better quality threes. Like, I'm fine with LeBron taking threes. Go ahead, take a three, right? But you don't need to. He forces the issue, right? Like, if you want to get a good look from three to try to get yourself in a rhythm, fine. Give the ball to D'Lo, play off ball, let D'Lo create in some action, and then let the defense collapse, and then kick it out, and now you got a good quality open three, right? And then take that shot. Rather than, I'm just going to hold the ball for 20 of the 24 seconds on the shot clock, and then I'm just going to look down and jack it up, right? Like, decision making. That's the problem. Yeah, I'm not worried about LeBron improving. Like, he'll get back to being LeBron, or at least a version of LeBron. I trust LeBron until reasons otherwise, but he is in a slump, and it's a problem. He's got to find a way to get out of that slump. AD needs to get 25 to 30. Bron 20 to 25. Rui, K4, and D'Lo 10 to 15. D'Lo and Rui come through. AD and Bron come up. Yeah. Got to. Let's see. Sorry, trying to find something to me real quick. The problem is LeBron committed to playing all 82 games. Oh, yeah, this was your super chat. Yeah, I appreciate you. And yes, agreed. Like, he's gotta take a seat, Let's see. He doesn't need to retire, but he's rough. He's definitely in a slump, right? He's still a very good player. This team won't thrive until LeBron is off the roster. Been saying that since 2021. I disagree. I think that they can thrive. First off, what's going on, KB? Secondly, look, LeBron is still a very good player. I just think that he can't carry the way he used to, right? So you need guys that can. You need guys that can help kind of carry the burden, right? It's why I like the idea of Zach LaVine so bad, right? Like, I think Zach LaVine is a guy that can help take some of the burden off of LeBron. And then LeBron can kind of he's going to get his 20 just kind of piecing in, right? Like, playing within the schemes. Kind of let LaVine and AD be the guys. Let those two handle their business, and then you can just pick your spots, right? And I think he'll be fine. Just better decision-making and all of that. Best ability is availability. Bron goes through a bad streak, and you want to trade for a broken-down car that runs once a year. Are you talking about LaVine? LaVine's not a broken-down car that plays once a year. I mean, he played 25 games last year, which is the thing everyone harps on. But, again, like, they don't look at everything, right? Like, again, 10 seconds. I don't know if this is what you're referring to, because I don't have clarity, but I'm assuming because we were talking so heavily about Zach LaVine. And I get this comment a lot. Like, if you just take 10 seconds to look it up, you'll see that that's inaccurate. Right? He played 25 games last year. Yes, that's not great by any stretch of the imagination. But he was also supposed to finish the season, which would have put him around, 60 games, I think, at that point. Assuming he would have played the season, maybe like 55 games, something like that. But let's say it would have been 50 games, right? He just didn't want to go to Detroit. Literally, that's why. As soon as the Detroit rumor started, he was like, I got to go have surgery. Right? But look at all the other years. Literally, look at the 5 years prior to last year. 5 years prior. He played 77 games, 67 games. I think he played 60 games, 58 games, and then I think it was like 62 games or something like that. The guy's giving you 65 games a year minimum, on average, right? Like, I'll take that. I will gladly take that. There's a reason the NBA made the league minimum 65 games, because that's the average that stars are performing. David, coming out $2 super chat. Thank you so much. No depth. Why did we let Caruso and KC go? Well, Caruso was the big faux pas, right? Because we could have had him for like $10 million, and they weren't willing to sign him, which is infuriating. KCP was part of the Russell Westbrook trade, which that was a disaster. They should have never done that. I mean, we're still being punished for that move, right? We're still digging through trenches because of that. And it's incredibly frustrating. But yeah, I mean, look, and that's a point. So many people are like, yeah, but if you trade for LaVine, what about depth? What about depth? What about depth? What about depth? We have no depth. Depth is great when they show up. Depth is great when you have it. You don't have, the Lakers don't have, it's not like, oh man, Gabe, you can't trade Gabe Vincent because he's been really good. You can't trade Max Christian. You can't trade any of these guys. No, you have no depth right now. So who cares? You might as well raise the ceiling on your front six or whatever as much as possible. Because you don't have depth right now anyway. And you're not going to magically just go get a bunch of depth, because you need to go trade for 6-7 guys if you really want depth, depth, right? So what do? You go get an upgrade to the best possible level, right? Like Zach LaVine. Go get Zach LaVine. Go get Zach LaVine. Who cares about depth? Depth is irrelevant when you can't rely on your depth. That's my point. So anyway, I appreciate you, David. All right. Go for about 9 more minutes, and then I'm going to skate on out of here, get some videos ready and done and stuff for you guys for in the morning. All right, let's power through. I'm going to power through as many questions as I can. That was painful to watch. RD is non-existent. Gobert dunking on rebounds, and everybody shooting well amazingly. Only Ant-Man looked weird. Yeah, Ant had his struggles. I mean, he's talked about he hates the way that the Lakers defend him. But yeah, it's just this whole team sucks. Denver really exposed them, man. I feel like they might have given up on this with this roster. Hopefully, it results into a trade. D'Lo and Knecht shouldn't be our best players. Agreed. Let's see. JJ's better than Ham. Ham was not good. Look, I get people look at the Lakers record, and I've seen the posts where it's like, oh, these many games in, Darvin Ham and JJ Redick have the same record, but you're missing out all the other factors that go into it. And I even saw people oh, the play-in tournament, LeBron James and Anthony Davis desperately wanted that play-in tournament. There's a difference, right? There's variables that matter that don't go into that. JJ Redick is the better coach. He's running better schemes, better offenses, better defense schemes. You see him adjust and make changes, but it only goes so far. You need the personnel. I mean, I even stuck up for Darvin Ham last year. I mean, I got just torched on several occasions for literally sticking up for Darvin Ham. Why? Because again, it wasn't all on Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham, yes, in many ways was the scapegoat, but he wasn't a good coach. He wasn't a good coach by any stretch. But it wasn't all on him. This team just wasn't good, right? And it's just coaching can only fix so much, right? You can only throw out so many schemes based on your personnel. Now, if I have a bunch of unathletic guys, I can't do things that require athleticism. If I have a bunch of non-shooters, I can't do things that require shooting, right? It's just, again, it's the roster. Again, he can only do so much. Let's see. Stakes coming out $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Braun needs to play off ball more. D'Lo is the point guard. Yeah, to LeBron's credit, he has done a better job this year than he has in the past. He is starting to kind of default, right? And I think part of that is just the panic of I'm struggling, and he's trying to get himself out of it. But Needs trust the process. It's why I really like D'Lo in the starting unit. Bring Reeves off the bench, let Reeves be the guy off the bench, and then let D'Lo run the show, right? Let LeBron trickle in and get his spots. D'Lo shooting is just so valuable. It's just there's a lot, right? I really do. I agree. I think you need to let D'Lo be the point guard, at least for now. Obviously, trades, pull off trades. I'm not saying you don't trade D'Lo or anything like that, but right now LeBron is playing like Bronny, and you need something to kind of offset that. I just think D'Lo gives you the best. Look, I mentioned this earlier. I don't know if you were here earlier, but like third option D'Lo last year, because remember, D'Lo was the third option last year. Third option D'Lo last year was better than third option Reeves this year. So get back to D'Lo as the third option and let him be the guy until you can get, whatever, a Zach LaVine or pull off a Nets trade, or whether it's several trades, whatever. That's kind of the gist of it. Let's see. Wide open threes. Wide open threes. I love D'Lo. Praise D'Lo, please. Oh, I always look, when guys are warranted to get praise, I praise them, right? Like, just like when Austin Reeves has a great night, I praise him. When D'Lo's bad, I criticize D'Lo, right? Like, no, I base it off of, like, what are you producing? D'Lo's been really good these last few seasons, right? Let him cook. Let him do his thing. Let's see. Dude is a shell of himself this year. I don't know if I wouldn't say a shell, but he's struggling right now. He was really good to start the season. And then it just kind of, let's see. Sorry, trying to find something. Me literally get LaVine. I'm right there with you. We need a new look. That's it. Yeah, I'm right there with it. We have to do something. I agree with you. Got to get something done. Something needs to get done. Let's see. I never expected Lakers to win tonight. Did y'all? Yeah, of course. Lakers show up. You should be trying to win those games. Missed the game again because of work. But hey, you're lucky, right? Believe me, you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything. Seriously, Edgar, I'm right there with you. Yeah, the Monstars stole his juice, man. Man, we need to take Jordan's secret juice or whatever. That might have been LeBron's worst game ever. I don't know. He had one early. It was like the 6th game of the season or whatever that was worse than this. I mean, this was bad, but Lakers are 2 trades away from being contender, depending on the pieces. Yes, I agree. Let's see. Can't even like Bron, my goat and my sunshine, but Bron, you don't disconnect. Bro's defense is stagnant and horrible. Yeah. So I've talked about this before. And again, I'm not saying you don't trade D'Lo, but D'Lo is the only one that actively gets Knecht the basketball, right? Like, so much so that they were, I don't know if they still are, so I'm not going to say that they still are, but they were, for like a good majority of the season, the best duo in the NBA behind Jokic and Jamal Murray, right? Like, it just, because he was one of the few guys that actually gets him the basketball. If Lakers wait till the trade deadline, they will be a play-in team to be swept by the Nuggets again in the first round. I mean, we're still there, but like, yeah, it's very possible. They don't clean stuff up. Yeah, LaVine. Yeah, I wanted LaVine last offseason. I also don't think he would have gotten. So I think he would have finished the year if he would have went to the Lakers. What more needs to happen before Pelinka makes trade? You got to keep in mind it takes 2 to tango, right? Like, and Rob Pelinka, he can't. We don't have this, like, if we were OKC, it's like, what are you doing, Rob? Right? If we had 15 first, it's like, dude, who cares? Go win, right? Like, but that's not the problem. Like, the problem is right now, we are very limited on our assets. All of the asking prices are insane right now, right? Like, they want 2 firsts for Jeremy Grant. They want 2 firsts for Walker Kessler. They want a first for Dorian Finney-Smith. The Dallas Mavericks were trying to get a first for Dorian Finney-Smith, and no one bought. Right? Nets have been trying to get a first for Dorian Finney-Smith for 2 years now, and no one's bought. Right? Like, it's just, again, it's just prices are insane, and we need several pieces, right? And so it's like, okay, you could go give both first to go get Jeremy Grant, right? Like, he doesn't by himself do enough to this roster. Like, he makes us better, but he's not making us so much better. Oh, now we're a contender. Right? So it's like, do we want to be a contender or do we want to trade just for a trade? I would rather wait, be patient, and have Rob make the right trade. Now, here's the caveat, though, right? If Rob Pelinka pulls off a terrible, like if he's patient and pulls off a terrible trade, then yes, grab your pitchforks and let's go. Now, if he's patient and he pulls off the right trades, right, even if we don't win the championship, right, it's if he gets us the trades that we're clearly like, okay, we're a legit contender, and then it's like, okay, he deserves all the praise. It's going to come down to what Rob Pelinka actually does. If he pulls off a trade and it makes us just as bad or worse, then yeah, it's like, dude, what were you doing? Or if he overpays for the wrong trade or something like that, then it's like, yeah, what are you doing? But it's really going to boil down to like, what kind of trade does he pull off? If he pulls off the right trade, Lakers, he'll get the praise. It's unbelievable how good they are once he's here. Yeah. Let's see. 80 was no better tonight. He's the leader now. Yes, agreed. I was talking about Anthony Davis heavily earlier. Let's see. Did you just compare LaVine to Westbrook? They're not even in the same stratosphere. Westbrook didn't work because he couldn't shoot, and he had the ball in his hands, and he also wasn't the same player. Zach LaVine is one of the best catch and shoot players in the league, and he has been pretty much his entire career. There's a difference. LaVine would be the leading scorer right now. Yeah, seriously. Knecht needs to be evolved. LaVine with Dorian Finney-Smith saves them. You can't name 10 players who are better, I'm assuming, than LeBron. Right now you can. Right now you can probably name 50 players that are better than LeBron. But we need to trade. This team is garbage, and our defense is awful. Absolutely awful. Yeah, 12-9 is not good. LaVine is literally Devin Booker spider level talent. When he's on, yes. When he's cooking, that dude's D'Lo always plays his way back in the starting lineup. Yeah. This team is not built for success during back-to-back games, and especially in different time zones. Yeah, they're just. I mean, they're not really built to beat good teams, regardless. Everyone needs to get healthy. Yeah, look, that's definitely a caveat, but this team isn't good. Like, Jared Vanderbilt isn't fixing everything by themselves. Like, Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood aren't fixing everything by themselves. They would help. They would help a ton, right? Christian Wood with his bench scoring, and then Jared Vanderbilt with his defense, athleticism, stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, those guys would help tremendously. But they're not like, oh, now the Lakers are there, right? Like, the only way they're really going to get there is the right trades. If they can get 2-3 guys, they'll be in good shape. Good to see you as always. Yes, likewise. Appreciate you being here. I miss the defense, a demon, I feel. Man, what's going on, Cosman? Man, we got to do something, man. I'm getting tired of these same results. Yeah, some results, man. Yeah. Our stars will not last the season, getting nothing. Sends tax or not. I know we could be worse, but still, man. Yeah, but again, it's like, even if we get better, right? Like, let's say we get slightly better, right? Like, is that where we want to be? And now we're stuck? Like, that's the problem, right? Like, again, I want to trade too. I want the Lakers to be and get better, but you got to find the right moves. As painful as it is, as frustrating as it is, they got to stay patient. Rob's got to stay patient and find the right moves, the right trades, or just go get Zach LaVine right now. Like, I'd prefer, like, just go get Zach. Get it done, get it over. Like, whatever you got to do. Let's see. Bro, forget Vando. He'd get traded too. Yeah, best ability is availability. Nets and Bulls are doing fire sale. Yep. Zach had 18 points tonight. And the Bulls rookie, Bazile, had 20 against the Nets. Yeah, they had some good games. Like I said, Zach LaVine was struggling. He was still at it was 12, 15, something like that. And then I looked just now. I checked a moment ago, and I was like, oh, wow, he actually got his efficiency. Like, he shot over 50%. Like, I was like, man. So he must have really cooked in that second half, which proves my point. Andrew, coming out the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Reeves, Rui, Gabe, Vando, and a first to Chicago for Zach, Io, and Craig. D'Lo, Max, Jalen, Hood-Schifino, Wood, and a first for Dennis, Dorian Finney-Smith, Sharp. Completely transforms us on both ends. So Reeves, 12 million. Rui, like it's 29. Third, that's 40 million, 50 million. And you get Zach LaVine, Io, and Craig. So it's 43. That's 50 million. I don't think that works because, again, like Reeves is 12 million. Rui's 17. So that's 29. Gabe is 11. That's 40. Vando is 10. That's 50 million. Zach is 43. Io is 7. So that's 50 right there. I don't think you can get Craig. You could, or you'd have to swap out like Reeves and Vando for D'Lo, or swap out Reeves for D'Lo, and then on the other end, Dennis, Dorian Finney-Smith, Sharp completely, because D'Lo, Max, and Jalen Hood-Schifino would be 18 plus 8. That's 26. That's 30 million roughly. I think it's just shy of 30 million with Jalen Hood-Schifino, but let's call it 30. Oh, and then you added Wood, so that's like 31 million. Talking 30. The math wouldn't work. I mean, I'd love it, but the math wouldn't work because, again, so let's do in real time. You'd have, so you got Zach 43, Io 7. That's 50. Craig is making like 3 million, give or take. Because you got to remember, Lakers got to send out more money, and they have to fill out a roster. So you need to be able to fill out a roster. And you have what? You have 8 guys for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Lakers would still have to fill in one more roster spot. So you're talking, like I said, so it's 50, it's called 53 million. Dennis, Dorian Finney-Smith, it's like another 30. So you're talking like 80 million. I guess it'd work. Because you're talking, really, because I rounded up, talking roughly 80 million, give or take. So yeah, that might actually work. Problem is, would all those teams concede to that? But yeah, look, if you could do something like that, then now you're probably the best team in the NBA. Because what could be your starting five? Your starting five could be Schroeder, LaVine, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron, and AD. And then you have Io, Knecht, Craig, and Sharp with like maybe Reddish, or maybe you bring in a guy because you still need one more roster spot to fill. That's my question. Is that enough to fill the roster? I'm trying to do the math in my head, but yeah, that might actually work. But I appreciate you, Andrew. Thank you. All right, I'm going to do like one more row. Obviously, super chats, I'll take priority, but I'm going to do one more row of comments, and I'm going to skate on out of here so I can go make videos and try to get some decent rest tonight. And let me find where I'm at. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Why are the Kings even more trash since getting to Mars? Look, I talked about it. I said Sacramento, Minnesota, and Dallas would be the 3 teams that I thought were not going to be as good as last year. Dallas is not as good as last year. They're on a streak right now, but they're better without Luka. They're like 6-1 or something like that without Luka. Look, Sacramento, literally the last thing. I actually just made a video on as it stands sports. So literally, the last thing that they needed was another isolation score. DeMar DeRozan made no sense for them. DeMar DeRozan on the Lakers, again, I had my questions, but he made more sense because the Lakers didn't have anybody to do what was needed, like to do what DeMar can do, right? But the fit was always questionable. The Sacramento Kings, they didn't need a DeMar DeRozan. They needed 3-and-D wings. They needed to either keep Harrison Barnes or upgrade Harrison Barnes and go get like if they could have gotten like Mikal Bridges and OG, right? Like that, I think now they'd probably be a contender, right? Like they were essentially like they're essentially like the Knicks, right? Got that all-star guard, right? But also they had Malik Monk. Got that all-star guard. They have a great center. You just needed that 3-and-D wings around them. And they didn't do it. It's ridiculous. But if you want, here's that link I posted is the As It Stands Sports channel, which is just, I talk about all the other teams outside of the Lakers. And I literally just made a video today talking about Sacramento. So yeah, check that out. And go subscribe to that. If you guys aren't subscribed to that channel, click that link, go subscribe, and then come back to this live stream. Let's see. Our offense isn't working. When guys aren't hitting shots, yeah, kind of hard to have an offense work when guys can't shoot to save life. Again, D'Lo had 4 of our 6 threes. Literally 4 of our 6 threes. It's awful. Why is LeBron taking the most shots? Because he's trying to shoot himself out of a slump, and it's not working. That's why. It's not a good decision. It's not like, again, you want to shoot yourself out of a slump, that's fine, but just take better quality shots is the point, right? He needs to take better quality shots, better quality looks. Man, we got to do something, man. I'm getting tired of the same results, man. Our stars are wearing down. I know we could do worse, but yeah. I am right there with you, Coswin. Yeah, seriously. Right now, he'd be, without a doubt, probably our leading scorer. Let's see. Is LeBron ever going to take accountability? Probably not. So I made a video on AIS, the Lakers show, and one of the things that I talked about was that LeBron had an opportunity, and I was like, dude, like, you got to ask the question about the rebounding and turnovers. And he said, like, he gave the general answer about the rebounds. That was fine, right? The first, like, 2/3 of his response were fine. But then it came down to the turnovers. And he was like, yeah, like, we need to do a better job not turning the ball over. No, you need to do a better job of not turning the ball over. Right? Like, that was a great opportunity for him to be like, I need to, like, look, we all need to take care of the basketball, but I need to do a better job of, making sure that I'm not leading the league in turnovers. Like, it's crazy. Right? It's just, it's frustrating. But, let's see. Right now, I think LaVine would be overworked, and we might see injury issues. We need more for him to make a difference. I actually think he'd have an easier time than ever because he like literally you just ask, like, right now he has to do like everything for Chicago, right? On many nights. Some nights he doesn't, but on many nights he has to do literally everything, right? But on this team, his best attributes are exactly what this team needs. Right? Obviously, you can't account for injuries, and I say it all the time. You can't make moves based on injuries. So hopefully, I saw Rob Pelinka said, "Hello, Tyler." Hello, Rob. If you're the real Rob Pelinka, go trade for Zach LaVine tomorrow. Imagine that really is the real Rob Pelinka, and he's like, "All right, Tyler." And then tomorrow we get news that he traded for Rob Pelinka or Zach LaVine. We get news that he trades for Zach LaVine tomorrow. I'm going to lose my mind. I'm like, Rob Pelinka really is taking my advice. Oops hype. reported today that multiple executives are saying the Bulls are asking price are too high for Vu and Zach. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I saw that too. But for like literally months, they've been talking about. So Vu originally, supposedly, they wanted a first for Vu, right? And then we got the reports the other day that were like they're willing to trade him for 2 seconds, right? Like that was the asking price, 2 seconds. And then the Zach LaVine thing. Zach LaVine has always been like teams, because teams want assets, right? Like Chicago doesn't want to give anything up for Zach LaVine, right? They want a team to just take Zach LaVine. So I don't know. Again, at the end of the day, we're not in the room. We don't know what kind of conversations have been had. Maybe Chicago's like, no, we have to have a first for Zach LaVine, which at that point you're crazy, right? It's just not going to happen, right? But also you got to keep in mind hardball, right? Like even if I was Chicago, right? If I'm on the phone with somebody, like, hey, what do you want for Zach? Like, I want a first, right? Like I'll take your guys, but I want a first. Like, no, I ain't giving you a first. Like, well, that's what I want, right? Like it's part of negotiations, right? Like, I mean, if Rob called and, I can't remember who the Bulls GM is off the top of my head, but the Bulls GM's like, hey, can you just please just take Zach LaVine? Like, tell you what, we'll give you IO, right? Like, then yeah, like it's like, oh, this guy a sucker, right? So, it's one of those things where I just think you gotta take things into account, right? Like the Bulls GM, I'm sure isn't like, yeah, like, hey, we'll give you IO and a first for Zach. Like, no, it's like that's part of Rob's job is negotiating that point, getting to that point. All right, I'm gonna do 5 more questions. Obviously, again, if Super Chat comes in, then I'll take priority. But outside of that, I am just gonna do a handful of more questions. For Austin Reeves and Jackson Hayes for Dennis Schroeder. Fortunately, the math doesn't work because Lakers can't take back salary. They have to send out more. So it'd be Austin Reeves, Jackson Hayes, D'Angelo Russell, and Rui Hachimura if you want to do something like that. Let's see. Bron and AR, trade package for LaVine, Io, Vooch, and Craig and 2 first. Who's down? I don't know about that. Look, I'm upset and disappointed in LeBron right now, but he's go get Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown hasn't played this season, if I'm not mistaken. Look, I am all for. I talked about Bruce Brown heavily. I still love the idea of Bruce Brown if he's healthy, but you got to wait until he plays a couple games. You can't go and trade for Bruce Brown and then he ends up he's not the same, right? I do like the idea of Bruce Brown though. I've talked heavily, and the more and more I talk about Bruce Brown, the more and more I like the idea. Let's see. Especially if it's me. Let me do 4 more. Braun's just inconsistent, especially his 3-point. They haven't been falling for a while. Yeah, he's just in a slump. Look, I trust him to get out of it at some point, but he's rough right now. AT is not getting traded to the Bulls. You comment this all the time. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. But like I told you, I told you in the comment that you left me. If Anthony Davis becomes a Bull, I will give you all the credit. I will come on here and I will be like, Unique told me months ago that Anthony Davis was going to get traded to the Bulls. Shooter, Bruce, LaVine, Vucevic, Kessler, Dorian Finney-Smith, get all of them. I don't even think that's possible. We're talking over 100 million. We're talking 20, 40, 60, 70, 100, and talking 120 million. If not, probably more than that. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do all that if in a perfect world, right? But unfortunately, yeah, they'd have to trade LeBron and AD to make that happen. Let's see. I got a super chat. All right, perfect. Cool. This could be the last question, unless obviously if another one comes. Andrew, I would trade Reeves, Filler, and a first for Zach. I mean, I can't trade a first for Zach. Like you can't. I'm not against trading Reeves at all, especially like even for Zach, right? Like the only reason I haven't talked about trading Reeves for Zach is because I don't think you have to, or at least you shouldn't, right? Like you shouldn't have to trade Reeves for Zach. Right? Like again, they just want to get off of him, then here you go. Here's a package to get off of him. But like if it took Reeves, yes, I would trade Reeves for Zach LaVine. I wouldn't give Reeves in a first for Zach. As much as I like Zach, I wouldn't give up Reeves in a first for Zach. Like that's like a fireable offense at this point because they are just like desperate to get off of him. So like I just don't think you can do that personally. You gotta stay the course. You gotta stay patient. I know it's frustrating, and as much as I want Zach LaVine, but there's no reason you should have to trade a first and Reeves, right? Like maybe one, but even then, I just Andrew, we need to play the premium. LaVine is worth a first. Problem is that like a premium is only a premium when there's demand, right? Like, like a Gucci bag is Gucci because it's Gucci, right? Like, there's a demand for that. Like people want that. They want to walk around and be like, oh, I got Gucci. But if, like people, there's no demand for knockoff, right? Like it's just, again, or the demand is very limited, right? Like paying a premium, I'm not against paying a premium for a guy if it makes sense, right? Like, again, if you could do like LaVine, if you could do like LaVine, Dorian Finney-Smith, right, and not give up any firsts, then yeah, like you could pay the price, like pay the premium to go get that guy that takes you over the top. I think it would be malpractice to trade a first and raise, especially when no one else is biting. Like no one else is biting. There's no other options there. Like I don't think you should do that personally. And I am as high on LaVine as anybody. I think LaVine is incredible, right? Like I think LaVine is unbelievable, right? Waja. Personally, I think LaVine fits better with D'Lo. Defensively, no. Offensively, yes. Offensively, D'Lo, like just being able to, if they actually let D'Lo be the point guard, yes, that actually makes a lot of sense to just be able to wheel and deal out there. And then especially to have like Anthony Davis in the pick and roll action, LeBron James, and then yeah, I mean, good luck. Yeah, like, oh, I saw you said then AR, right? Like, yeah, if it's over AR, yeah, over AR, I don't hate it. The only reason D'Lo is because one, Lakers aren't going to trade Reeves. Two, again, you shouldn't have to trade Reeves. I'm not against trading Reeves. You just shouldn't have to trade AR for LaVine, and therefore you could use AR as like a supplement for another trade. Like I've talked about, like if you go get Zach LaVine and then turn AR and whatever else into like Cam Johnson, I think you do that all day. I just think it depends, but yeah, I really like the idea of LaVine, and then yeah, offensively with D'Lo, I think would be tough, but you'd have to have like some incredible defense, right? Like you'd have to like Vando back something it's gonna be pretty crazy, but again, I appreciate you. All right, I'm gonna skate on out of here, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm gonna get some videos made, do all that stuff. But I appreciate you. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Everyone that gave me super chats, thank you so much. Seriously, you guys are beautiful. You guys are awesome. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, Lakers have they've been dog water, and it's frustrating. It is absolutely frustrating. But look, season's not lost. A lot of time left, and then hopefully we get a trade done sooner rather than later. That's my hope. Fingers crossed. But again, hit that like button on your way out. Hit that subscribe button on your way out. You guys are beautiful, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.